Live recording.
Yeah, there we go.
Beautiful.
The computer voice told us that we're now recording.
So an ancestor is anyone or anything that you have a healed copacetic relationship with. You wouldn't want to call on your weird uncle who died, who everyone hated and you had unfinished business with. That's not the kind of ancestor we're looking to call into the space. It's like your favorite tree or for me, I have a lot of ancestral guides and people that I call on that are like famous writers and thinkers and are archetypal symbols, that kind of thing. So you'll have a chance to call upon maybe one, or really one is a perfect way to focus to start. You don't need to think of every person you've ever wanted to like get guidance from, but they might bring someone along with them. And that if that person that comes along with them is someone you're like, meh, you don't really want to hang out with, or you don't even know them that well, you can just be like, hey, like, no, thank you. And they'll just go away. It's kind of your own imagination that allows you to guide and decide who you want to be in community with.
Right. And it could be the case for some of you that you may fear or have some concerns about unwanted contact with certain ancestors, and that's perfectly normal and understandable. And what we do, part of our role up here in facilitating this is to build a safe container. So as we lead you through the meditation, we will create protection around us as a group and each of you as individuals. Both of us are conversant in communicating with spirit. And so we will be sure to create a safe container for everyone. But just as LA said, if you do sense the presence of someone who's unwanted, you just very directly say, you're not welcome, please leave.
Mm-hmm.
And it works. So, and as we're in the meditation, as everyone's connecting, we are up here kind of keeping an eye out for what's coming in and helping to direct and keep the action safe, so to speak.
In the past, people have had really profound emotional experiences, like seeing a loved one they haven't seen in a long time, crying, experiencing kind of psychedelic things like flying over the ocean, or seeing like a beautiful landscape they may have no conscious recollection of ever seeing before, that kind of thing. The most uncomfortable thing that we've heard of so far has been someone's grandma coming in and being mad that they hadn't been in contact before, and and them working that out and being fine. It was just a moment of like, hey, you, why did you stop talking to me when I died? I've been waiting here, and then they were fine. So does anyone have any questions or concerns about that element of it that they want to just verbalize now before we move on? Awesome.
Anyone in the chat? Someone asked, where are we located? We are in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is where
Yes.
we live currently. And we have about 8 people here present in our apartment.
So nice. Yeah. All right, cool. Do you want to share a little bit about your experience of this before we go into the meditation?
Yeah, just briefly.
Yeah.
So I have a background as a spiritual medium, and so for several years I've been communicating with deceased loved ones of folks, and I work one-on-one with people and bring through messages and working with healing energy through that. But I've like learned that you don't need to work with the medium. Like all of us are descended from some indigenous tradition at some point where reverence and communication with ancestors is just part of everyday life. And I
There was
think
no TV then, it was like, what did you do? You talked to your ancestors.
right. And so, yeah, so there's not anything in our common culture that it's accessible and useful and what we're used to doing. And we would just want to create a very accessible, simple ritual where anyone can do this.
Mhm.
So that's what is motivating me. And I think we share some of that motivation.
Yeah, I mean, I've always just wanted to disrupt every industry I possibly can. And we just realized that, like, I come from a more like literary and language arts background as opposed to like spiritual guidance. And for me, I've always thought that language and the words that we use has a lot more potential to heal and transform our consciousness than what we've really like allowed it to do. And so this practice is infused with what we call ancestral poetics, which is like really intentional word choices that allow you to kind of go into a place that our kind of mundane day-to-day lives and our less conscious word choices don't really allow us to do. So we're going to go deep with the words. All right, great. Let's get started.
Yeah,
shall
I
we?
think we're ready
I
here.
think that's everything.
This one we can hold it.
Oh, yeah. You want to hold it? You don't mind?
Yeah, not at all.
Okay.
So what we just want to do is start a little bit, get settled in space. If you want to lie down, take a moment just to get in the most comfortable position for you. Same for all of you at home or wherever you are tuning in via Zoom. Yeah.
So good. Mm. So everyone is already starting to really feel into their bodies, feel into the space that they're in. And for me, and in this practice, the simplest way to really remind our bodies and our minds that we're connected is with some intentional breath. So breathe in with me. And what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in, filling down into our diaphragms, forward through our hearts, backward into the back of our bodies, and up all the way to the top of our lungs in our clavicles region. So breathe in with me, and you're going to hold that breath at the top. And release.
Begin to settle into your bodies. Pay attention to all the points of contact between your body and the surface that is supporting its weight. Find those points of contact and settle in even deeper. Scan your body for places of tension. Note that tension and then gently release it. With this further process of settling, we are grounding our energy into that of Gaia. Visualize roots growing from your body, working their way downward. They slowly wind their way down and pierce the soil, going further and deeper and anchoring you into place. Just like that of a tree, these roots seek nourishment and water. They take from you anything stuck. You are anchored and grounded and still allowed some movement.
With your roots in the soil, drinking the waters of Gaia, you are now grounded, present, and receptive.
We next now will clear and cleanse your field. All of us have arrived here together today with certain stresses and sadnesses, frustrations, anxieties, pain in our bodies. And we will let that go and clear that for this ritual. Imagine those stuck places, those densities, those worries find where they are in your body or around your field, and visualize them transmuting into light, watching them just float away. And let that light drift away or wash away into the waters of Gaia where they are cleansed and healed.
Your field is now cleared and cleansed.
We now provide protection around each of us as individuals. This cleared and cleansed field must be protected. Imagine a thin, translucent golden sphere begin to envelop your body. It slowly works its way around you, encasing you in a protective egg. Nothing negative or harmful can make its way to you through this shield. You are protected. But all that is light and loving and positive can reach you. And all that is positive and light and loving that emanates from within you can pass outward through the protective shield.
You are protected.
As we have cleared and cleansed and protected our individual fields, we must do the same for our collective space. Those of us physically present together here in this apartment, and also those of you with whom we share space energetically. All of those densities and negativities and stuck places that have floated away can be pushed further outside of this building and outside of the energetic field that we all share. Imagine our shared grief, our shared frustrations and worries also transmute into light or washing away in the waters of Gaia. And with our collective space cleared and cleansed, we also provide a protective barrier. Let us each imagine this golden shield forming all around us here in this apartment and around everyone who is sharing the same energetic field during this ritual. Like your individual shield, nothing negative can make it in. Only that is positive, light, and loving can pass in and out.
We are now cleared, cleansed, and protected.
Each of us come into this experience in a human form. We occupy these bodies. We have connection to this physical world, but also to a spiritual world beyond. And where we integrate these two streams of existence is through our heart centers. Imagine at the center of your chest a glowing green orb representing the love and light that comes from your heart. Watch this green glowing orb brighten and slowly begin to expand. Move this green orb even further expanding outside of your body, outside your protective shield, and overlapping with all the other green orbs around you. Let us fill this physical and energetic space with all of our love.
We are cleared, cleansed, protected, and loved together.
We are prepared now to invite in our ancestors. The theme of this co-created meditation today is blessings. Each of us in our various ancestral lineages carry specific blessings, and we are asking our ancestors who come forth today to show us what those blessings are, what can help us most in this moment, what is unique to our lineages. We also set the intention that only those ancestors who are well, loving, and want to help us come forward today. We ask that they support us in this work in reaching our highest selves, both individually as well as a collective.
Ancestors, angels, ascended teachers, greetings. Bless this encounter totally unique in this moment, precious in its rarity. We come empty-handed, ready to receive what you offer. In the divine dream of the universe, we do not choose our identity, but we do choose to rise to the roles we are called to play. Our gifts, our desires, our dreams, all are placed at the altar of collective healing. Thank you. We are ready.
And as we welcome in our ancestors, take a moment as they appear to just be present with them. Feel their loving energy, their support, their care. We will recognize a period of silence of a few minutes to give yourself a chance to communicate with them if you'd like and if you're able. Pay attention to any messages they have for yourself or for the group, any visuals that appear, any sensations in your body. All of it is welcome.
Greetings, ancestor. Thank you for meeting me in this sacred place. Forgive me for any miscommunication. My highest intent is to honor and hear you and fulfill our lineage's dreams and desires, leaving our line more healed, cleared, and integrated than before. Our wills are united throughout time, space, and dimension. You live on through me, as I will live on in those who remember and honor me. The blessings you share with me today will be honored and used in service of the highest collective good. Burdens you make me aware of will be gently set down and released.
all our ancestors present, we ask that they, as a collective, harmonize their energies for the betterment and for the love and care of us as a group. Let their combined healthy and loving energy bring healing to us, to our other ancestors, as well as to our descendants.
One wound healed in one is many wounds healed in many. The wounded healer nurses the infinite back to health. We acknowledge and hold each other's wounds, fears, challenges, and pain, fueled by the knowing that all healing is done in community. And our community spans far beyond our comprehension. Our collective grief alchemizes into medicine. Our collective effort builds our creative capacity, and our heart's expansion allows us to hold the infinite unknown. Our individual burdens become blessings for the whole community.
As our time with our ancestors begins to conclude, be mindful of the fact that they are there whenever you'd like to communicate with them. Let them know, if you'd like, that you'll be back, that they're welcome anytime. And most of all, let us express our gratitude for their presence today.
Ancestors, angels, ascended teachers, gratitude. Thank you for guiding us safely through the upward spiral of time, reaching as far backward and forward as life itself. Our work is play. Our love is pure. Our desires are divinely inspired. Let the highest common good be fulfilled by our effort, and show us how to follow the way with ever more devotion and clarity. We surrender ourselves in service to love, with mercy for all whom we meet on the path.
As our ancestors begin to take a step back, let us come back to our bodies and begin to bring some subtle movement to your toes and fingers. Become aware again of the surfaces supporting our bodies from below, from our presence together in this physical space. And whenever you are ready, you may open your eyes.
Feel free to start to move a little bit if you need to readjust yourselves. I'm gonna stand up and put some fire on our beautiful vegan lunch. It actually ended up being vegan after
Oh,
all.
okay, yeah. Apparently said vegan when it was just vegetarian, which it was a faux pas, I think, maybe. But it
Just
turned out to be
sometimes
that way.
scares people when they hear the word
Yeah,
vegan.
true.
But now we can open up for anyone who would like to share anything, ask any questions. That goes for all of you in Zoom as well. And maybe you can guide that while I
Yeah,
get the
absolutely. Yeah.
there.
So if anyone on Zoom would like to share anything, obviously there's no pressure to do so. You can raise your hand in the Zoom feature. Um, and then anyone present here, you may not be able to hear the people speaking here in the apartment, but I can summarize for you what they've said. We can, there we go. I'll pass the mic so everyone can hear. Would anyone like to start by sharing anything as you're kind of coming back into the space? Go right ahead. Here, I'll pass the mic.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Every time we do this, more energies are like gathering around to watch. Like, do you feel that too? It's like I feel this feeling of like we're in a little, I don't know, like a playpen or something. And our ancestors and spirits and all these benevolent entities are gathering around the edge of the playpen and being like, they're crawling. Look. And it's like so this was the most it's ever been. It felt so amazing.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I definitely have. Yeah, there was more like emotion involved in this one. Usually there's just like heat, like I feel a lot of heat and there's just a lot of energy, but this was more on the side of emotion. I saw less visuals than normal, but it was, yeah, just a pure sense of emotion was present. And okay, so yeah, you felt more of a okay, yeah, yeah. So yeah, someone present said they felt the energy shift and you felt it somatically in your body when we did the invitation in of the ancestors. Yeah. Yeah, here, do you want me to pass the mic? All right.
So once we did the protective bubble around ourselves, after that, you guided us to do the protective bubble around energetically everyone who was calling in, as well as the space, the apartment. And the visual that came through for me was almost like this like golden light started and then it just burst and it like rippled out and it just like pushed everything away over towards like the seas. And then it was like everything that it was pushing away was not benevolent in nature. And it just caused this like almost like a tsunami just like crashed into the water and like washed away. And then I watched like the dust or like the sand start to like settle in the water and it felt really big. So that was one of my experiences. I felt a lot of heat in my hands and I teared up, and what was interesting was the tears came from my left side, my left eye, and I had a somatic sense in my right hip that was like almost felt like a black, slimy, like thick, hard thing. It felt like it could move. It was malleable. It's just like almost like it had to be like massaged. Like it was just like really left out Play-Doh that was like really hard. So those are my experiences.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Can I provide a reflection on just on that latter part? And you might have some insight. I mean, it feels like with the left side, that was something matrilineal, something on your maternal side, and then feeling into your right hip, it's like moving into the future, that there's something to work through on your mother's lineage that will then cause that issue on your right hip to loosen for you to step forward and move into the next phase. That might give you some insight into what is next for you. So, yeah. Great. You can stay seated. I'll bring the mic to you.
So right when we went into it, I felt my recently passed grandmother call out to me and just say, "Hi, I'm here. I miss you." And I teared up a little bit because it was her voice and I could feel her presence in that. And I'm on a new journey where I've recently moved cities and I felt no fear in doing that. And I felt very righteous and like I've been following my heart. And then these messages of "you are safe in your freedom" just kept being echoed throughout the quiet time. And then at the very end, I was getting visuals almost like the Alex Gray paintings of this being's whole body and nervous system. And then as the light filled them, their like cranium started to expand with this light. And it was a very beautiful image. And I've also found that when I meditate and feel connected to something greater, the clouds always part when something comes through, and I do feel like I'm able to receive these messages. And I thought it was really cool at the end when you dismissed the ancestors, a cloud just came over. I was like, oh my God. So that was super cool. I was like, oh my gosh.
Thank you so much for sharing that as well. Yeah, I was not aware that the sun came out in that way when they were gone. And it sounds like you have like with the clouds parting that you see, it's almost like a clue. It tells you, oh, I need to listen or look more carefully as to what's happening. If you have like a routine and knowing like how it is that you receive messages, it sounds like you actually hear in their voice, and that's really powerful and beautiful. You were gesturing up towards your left. Does it come in from a certain direction, or is it just depending on the person? The voice. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. Sure. Sure.
Okay. So this is my first experience doing like an ancestor. I've done like a past life meditation before, but never like calling an ancestor in. And I think I expressed to LA one night when we were hanging out about this that I had like wanted to try this, but I felt like a little bit scared. Like this like kind of I don't know, like I don't know what's gonna come in. It's a little bit like uncharted territory, which I guess is part of life. But so when the siren started, I was like, nope, I should go. Like this is like a sign. And then I really said, for those of you that are listening in on the Zoom call, there were like tons of sirens that started shortly after we started this, and it was really loud. But I will say, once I settled in and like opened my palms, I felt like that was putting myself in that receiving state. And it was very different than I expected. I didn't see like a face or an actual person, but I know that it was like my maternal on, I think, my mom and my dad's side. There was like some midwifery on one side, which I do know that there's a great grandmother of mine who was a midwife, and then my maternal grandmother who was a pastor. There was a lot of visual, like a lot of swirling light that I experienced, and I don't know. I feel like I have a little bit of mixed messages with like midwifery and then like vision stuff. So I'm like gonna be processing this for a while because I don't know exactly like what they were saying to me, because it wasn't like, obviously it wasn't verbal, but I definitely felt their presence, and it was really interesting and cool. So I would love your feedback.
Yeah, thank you for. Yeah.
I will take.
We're serving lunch here in person, so we're getting cilantro input. I'll start with a question where you started with kind of the fear that you had. Did you find it comforting to be with other people, or could that have actually made it more complicated? Like if you had a bad experience,
No,
I'm just curious.
I felt safer with more people. for
Good.
sure.
Okay, that's good to know. And then as far as you not necessarily understanding what was being said or told, it may become clearer. And I think it's good that you seem just to be open to whatever you saw and whatever you felt, because that's one thing I'd advise everyone to do, is not try to edit or question what's coming through. And it may not make any sense whatsoever. And it could be later today, it could be next week, it could be a year from now. And also, the more you like revisit this practice on your own, you can meditate on your own and invite in some of the people you felt who were present. And sometimes the message can be clearer. Um, the person I've studied most under, she talked about, like, with respect to mediumship in general, it's like putting a jigsaw puzzle together in the dark. Like, it's so hard to kind of understand what it is that's coming through, but with more practice and just trusting, you'll have more clarity, I believe. So, but thank you. That was really helpful for you to share. Lee, any other, do you want to share? Yeah.
So I've been sitting here listening and like talking about the sirens and whatnot. And I was like, dude, I was like, I've lost this entire time just now. I was like, I don't know what. And so I just asked her, I was like, did I just fall asleep? Because she was like, okay. Cause I was like, yeah, and then I woke up when you're calling everybody. I don't know if I've completely lost this entire like 30 minutes just now. It's gone. Okay, so that's what's happened. All right, that's what I need. Sorry. I came from work and changed and came in here. So I
Well,
don't think I'm sure.
Let me.
Okay, cool.
And
Got you.
he's an honored guest because he was the only person present in person last month. And so, yeah, so you're a treasured repeat both times in person. So we're happy that you were here. Everyone has left the Zoom, but I'm, that's why I fell asleep after 30 seconds. Everyone's left the Zoom, but we'll be recording this if anyone still wants to share anything. We've got food, which is beautiful. Sure.
So it's my papa. He likes to show up and he has lots to say. And what he showed me was a visual that Brent had shared with me once before, where like all of the world, like the earth underneath me was cracking and falling apart. And I was just standing there like, see, it's all okay. And so he's like, see, you're doing okay. And so it was nice to have him around. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I think I remember where that visual came through. You've been kindly heating up the food that she prepared this morning, so.
This is just basmati rice. I try to do as much as possible totally organic these days because I feel like it just makes such a huge difference in like how you feel and like Gaia is the concept that all of life on Earth is all interacting to support each other and to continue to evolve together, that it's like all one organism that's kind of in a symphony together. And I just feel like flawed as organic certification may be, the intention of it really means a lot. So yeah, anyway, it's sustainably farmed basmati rice from India and organic red lentils and just some onion and cabbage and some curry simmer sauce. Super simple. Yeah. Do you want some? I didn't feed you. Oh, you're fine. We're like so low on curry now. You want just a little bite?
All right. Any other shares? Do we just want to eat at this point? I can probably wrap up the Zoom. Anything? All right. Well, Yeah, so I'm going to end the Zoom recording.